لأن يهدي بك الرحمن فؤادا حائر الوجدان، فذلك يا أخي خير من الأموال والولدان،
وخير من هوى الدنيا وما ازدانت من البنيان، وما في البيد من حمر من النعم الرفيع الشان، فدعوتنا إلى الرحمن
برب واحد ديان،
بموعظة وإحسان
وجنب لين وحنان،
بها نلقى سعادتنا ونلقى الروح والريحان.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته، حياكم الله أخوان أخوات الأفاضل الأكارم في ليلة من ليالي الدعوة الله سبحانه وتعالى. مرحبا بكم في برنامجكم حمر النعم، وهذه الليلة ستكون مخصصة للمتحدثين باللغة الإنجليزية. كما عودتمونا أخوان أخواتي، من كان عنده أحد يتحدث اللغة الإنجليزية يسمح له أو يسمح لها في الدقائق القادمة يتابعنا. ذكروا كل من تعرفون باتصال برسالة بأي وسيلة من الوسائل، تذكرون الآن حتى يتابعنا. الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يفتح بصائركم. عنوان الليلة سيكون أخوان أخواتي كوني ملكة، بي كوين، ولهذا سيكون مخصص للحديث عن مكانة المرأة ومنزلتها. أرقام الدعاة تظهر تباعا على الشاشة، كل ما عليكم تأخذوا هذه الأرقام تتصلون على الدعاة تدعون بين أيديكم أو تحتفظون بها عند الحاجة. هناك رقم لنطق الشهادة على الهواء. First of all, I would like to welcome my dear guest today, Dr. Sultan. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
I would like to thank you for accepting our invitation to be with us tonight, Doctor.
It's my pleasure to be with you tonight.
Thank you very much, appreciate it. Dr. Sultan Al-Arifi, and the second guest, our Dr. Faisal Al-Hamoud. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Doctor.
حياك الله وياك.
Good evening, Doctor.
Good evening.
And we are happy today to be with you again.
Thank you so much for having me.
And also, we would like to ask Allah to bless you all for accepting our invitation.
Ameen.
Our title today, doctors, will be about the woman, which we will be one. The title was "Be a Queen." That means we're going to talk about the woman in Islam, the position, the rights of the woman in Islam. There is kind of misconception about the rights or the position of the woman in Islam. So I would like, first of all, Dr. Sultan, to talk about how Islam told us about the first, how the women were created in the beginning of Islam, to show how they are close to each other.
Okay. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. All praises be to Allah alone and peace be upon His messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. As have been narrated in the Holy Quran and in the Sunnah, also in other books and other scriptures, even in the Bible, that Eve, Hawa, was created from Adam. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God, created first Adam, then He created Eve from Adam itself, from Adam himself. So they are integrated and they are like one part from the beginning. And this shows the relationship of man and woman, which is integrated relationship, not competitive relationship.
Jazakallah khair, barakallah fikum. I will go to Dr. Faisal. First, Dr. Faisal, we would like to talk about how Islam looks at the nature of the relationship between man and woman.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam. As Dr. Sultan said, the idea or the relationship between men and women in Islam is a kind of integrative relationship that is complementary to each other, not to conflict with the other sex or the other gender. And in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the rule in all of the Islamic rulings and teachings, both men and women are equal in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, من عمل صالحا من ذكر أو أنثى وهو مؤمن فلنحيينه حياة طيبة. Whoever does righteousness, be it man or woman, and he's a believer, he will lead a peaceful life. And the Prophet ﷺ said in a hadith that women are the partners of men, which means that they are equal according to Islamic teachings. However, there are certain cases where men are given special rules, and in other cases also women are given special rules.
بارك الله فيك. Dr. Sultan, why do we have to talk about, or why we should talk about women?
This is really a good question because, as you just mentioned at the beginning, there are some misconceptions about women and women's rights in Islam, because some people, they don't go to the original sources to learn from. So they don't go to read from the Holy Quran, or they don't go to read from the Sunnah. So they I would say, maybe believe some which is written in some media, or some people who might attack Islam or talk about the, negatively about the rights of women in Islam. But if they really realize what is, I would say, the status of women in Islam and what are the rights of women in Islam, usually their, I would say, belief will be changed about this. So, and also because we look after women in Islam, and as Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one of his great words, when just before he dies, he mentioned, two major things. He reminded us with salah, prayer, which is the second pillar of Islam, and the second thing was the women. He said, look after women, take care of women. استوصوا بالنساء خيرا, استوصوا بالنساء خيرا. And Prophet Muhammad also himself, he said, the best among you is the best for his wives, and I am the best for my wives. So this is, how is it in Islam? So this is why we should look, we should talk about women's rights in Islam.
Dr. Sultan, you remind me, subhanallah, first ayah in the Holy Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he clarified, he showed the reality of the relationship between men and women, which says that ومن آياته أن خلق لكم من أنفسكم أزواجا من أنفسكم. That means they were just one part, then they split, but they still as a one part.
Yes, exactly. They are still one part, and this is our relation, as we just mentioned in the beginning. It's integrative between men and women.
So they complete each other.
They complete each other. They not compete with each other.
Subhanallah.
So this is very important.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dr. Faisal, why there is so many misconceptions about the status or the position or the rights of the woman in Islam, especially with the non-Muslim?
Yeah, I think the most important source for these misconceptions is media, because media, especially the non-Muslim media, has bombarded our minds and our views with, certain, let's say, opted or chosen images that are very popular, or might be popular in one part of the Muslim world, that in that position, or in that maybe case, a woman is degraded or is not given her right. And that's number one. The second one, which is the ill practices by some Muslim communities towards women. In this stand, we have to differentiate between Islam as its teachings and rulings about women and men in Islam, and our practices as Muslims in our communities, because our practices might be affected by traditions or cultures or whatever. Therefore, we cannot judge Islam through our practices. We should, the other way around, we should examine our practices through Islam, through the lens of Islam. I think these are the main sources for having these misconceptions.
That you mean, Dr. Faisal, that we are talking about the teaching of Islam, not the behavior of the some Muslims.
Definitely, yeah.
And subhanallah. Dr. Sultan, because why we are talking about the women tonight, because as we mentioned that there is a big misconception about the position or the rights of the woman in Islam, especially among the non-Muslims. But do you think that if we're going to talk about and explain and clarify the rights of the woman in Islam, do you think some of them or most of them, those who's watching us, they might change their misconception?
Sure, of course, and I would like to share with you some few experiences that happened to myself. I remember one day I was in London. Usually, to be honest, when I'm there, I wear pants and t-shirts. But one day I was wearing white thobe, with the hat, and they just came out from one of the Islamic centers there. So I had to go through the underground. So as you can see and imagine, my appearance is different than anyone else in that underground. So on the train, so when we stopped in one of the stations, an English woman came towards me, and she said, "I am scared from you." Then I said to her, "Why? So why you came towards me? If you are scared from me, you have to run away from me, not to come towards me." Then she started to laugh. Then she asked me a number of questions about women's rights in Islam, and really she, has many misconceptions about the women's rights. Then she asked a number of questions about the woman as a mother, as a wife, the relationship between men and women, as a husband and wife. And she asked also about the divorce, number of questions. But I would like to tell you about the end of our discussion, which is about maybe 20 minutes only. She said, "You know what? If these are the rights of women in Islam, please find me someone from your country. I would like to get married from someone from your country." I said to her, "This is not my country. This is my religion, Islam.
That's right.
Regardless where I am from, And I might sometimes not be a good model or a good example. I might not apply all that I have to do or to apply as a husband, but this is the recommended situation. This is what we have to do." And when I was sharing this story with one of my other friends, and he said, "This happens to me." I said the same. One day I was in a conference, then he said, I met, on a dinner at the end of the conference, I met one of the well-educated and wealthy ladies, and she discussed with him about. She said to him, "Are you married or single?" He said, "No, I am married." She said, she asked some questions about. He said also, "Are you married?" She said, "No, I was married for 2 times or 3 times, but I separated because I found out most of the men that I got married from, they were just seeking my money, my wealth, because I am wealthy. No one of them was honest." This is just, we cannot generalize this, but this is her own experience. Then he said, "You know what? In our culture, in our religion, your money is yours. No one is seeking you. I am responsible for you as a husband. I have to pay the rent, the house, your clothes, everything." She said, "Are you serious?" She said, "I don't what? I have no problem even to get married from someone even as a second wife, if will be my
really?
situation." So and there are plenty experiences. One day I was invited to a school. They invited me. They said they have 1 week about the culture. It's a Middle East culture. So this is one of the questions they asked. I would like to say to you that after I told them about the rights of women in Islam, they were shocked, and they said, "We could not believe this. We didn't know about this." So all of them, they felt happy, and they respected the rights of women in Islam, and they said these information are really new to us. So this is
it's been hidden far from them, so that they didn't know most of these things you have mentioned, Doctor. And this is why we call it "Be a Queen." That shows that the women in Islam really they are queen, so that the husband, the fathers, the brothers, they are serving them, looking after them, taking care of them.
Sure.
So this is now we start our real topic for tonight,
sure.
To show who is the woman in Islam and when her rights starts. First of all, we'd like to talk about the rights of women as a daughter, Dr. Faisal.
All right. When we talk about Islam, we need to go. Before Islam, pre-Islamic era, where how women in general were treated, and especially or maybe daughters in particular. Women at that time, before the Islamic era, were objectified, if you like, and they were degraded. They didn't have any kind of high status in the society. Some of the examples, daughters, certain tribes used to bury their daughters alive, and Islam came and abolished this kind of practice. Also, before Islam, even in other religions, women were not allowed to inherit their relatives. And Islam came and organized this kind of relationship. As a daughter, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said that if anyone takes care of one daughter, in another narration said two daughters, and he educates them well and takes care of them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant him paradise.
Allahu Akbar.
See, I mean, getting from the pre-Islamic era, where she used to be buried alive, and up to this level to take care of her, and you'll get the paradise from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from God. That's a huge difference for a daughter. When it comes to a mother, Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, when one of the companions of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam came to him, he said, "Oh Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, give me the permission to go for jihad." Okay, he said, "Is your mother alive?" He said, "Yes, she is still alive." He said, "Go back to her and serve her, because the paradise is there." It means that if you obey your parents, I mean in general, especially your mother, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will grant you paradise on condition that you are a believer.
That you're talking about the woman, as a mother.
As a mother. And by the way, for the women's rights in Islam, Islamically speaking, a mother has 3 rights, if we like to count them.
But we'll go to the mother rights, but later on, because
okay, that's about daughters.
The daughter.
Yeah.
But before that, Doctor, may I ask you your permission? Just I receive a call from my sister.
Go ahead.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Good evening, Sister Kim.
How are you?
Alhamdulillah. How are you too, sister?
Alhamdulillah.
So today we are talking about a title called "Be a Queen," which we are talking about the rights of the woman in Islam. And according to your experience, Sister Kim, how did you find the woman in Islam?
Okay. First of all, I'm a convert to Islam. I was raised in a religious Christian family. My grandfather's a minister. When I was growing up, it was when many people, their families were getting divorced, and the fathers were leaving because usually the mother got custody. So you had issues with not seeing your father anymore. You were living in broken homes. The mothers had to work to support the family. And this is the same, but it's become even worse. And when I see online people talking about the West, they talk about what they see in movies, that it's glamorous, that it's nice or whatever. But culturally, women are raped. There's a lot of sexual assault. There's all sorts of things in Christian and Western culture that does not help the woman. And they call it feminism, but realistically, in my life, when I became Muslim because I had questions about the Trinity and the oneness of God. But alhamdulillah, when I converted and I learned more about what my rights were, I didn't have to change my name. I kept my money. The husband has the responsibility to take care of me and to take care of my children, so that I'm not stressed out about having to go to work while I have these small children at home. There are many benefits that are much more towards what you would call feminism, in my view, than what you see in the way that I was raised. And I mean, there are so many women that convert to Islam versus men. If you look at the number of women that are converts versus the number that are men, the reason is because of our treatment.
Exactly. Can I ask? Yeah. Sister Kim.
Yes.
So, have you heard about the oppressions against, women in Islam before you embraced Islam?
Yeah.
So, did this, prevent you from becoming a Muslim, or there was another story behind it?
No, it's funny. The first Muslims I had ever seen was in university. There were some people that had come to study English from Kuwait. And I told you my family's religious. So my thought was, okay, they're not Christian, I'll convert them. And so they listened to me, and then they told me, go to the library. There's the Quran there. If you want to read about it, you can read about it. Because I believe that women have to walk 3 steps behind the men. And I also had learned in school that Muhammad wrote the Quran in a cave. So I thought he was literate, and he wrote this book and then came down and brought it down. And that the women had to wear all black and they had to walk behind the men. So I had some really strange ideas about Islam. But they didn't try to convert me. They just told me what was in the religion, and anytime I asked them a question, they would tell me. And I actually didn't convert until 5 years after that. I kept, subhanAllah, meeting Muslims over and over and over again. And when I would ask them stuff, they didn't care whether I became Muslim or not, but they would answer the questions that I had always had about the Trinity and about God being one and not having a son. And, you know, all of these strange ideas that I had learned from Western media once I read more about it myself, and I actually asked other Muslims, and I met other Muslim ladies, and I realized what I'd been told was a lie.
Good.
Okay,
Thank you.
Sister Kim, before we finish, could you send a message? We want 2 messages. For ladies as a general, Muslim and non-Muslim, and the second message to those who did not accept Islam yet.
For a lot of ladies that I see that are Muslim and non-Muslim, they look towards the West, and they think that what women have there is better. They are free to undress, to not wear hijab. They can do whatever they want, go wherever they want, do whatever they want. But in that so-called freedom, it brings things like sexual harassment, like, you know, the men leaving the house and not taking care of their kids. And, you know, we already have all of these rights. Why do we give them away? There's no reason for us to accept the fact that we go to work unless we want to go to work. And, you know, we have responsibilities to take care of our kids and to take care of our family if we have them. So why do we put extra responsibility on ourselves that is the man's responsibility and not our responsibility? For those that haven't converted, you need to do your own reading and not listen to the media. The media doesn't tell the truth about many things. And additionally, you may hear bad stories where someone has done something wrong, but you don't look at the people that are Muslim, you look at the religion itself. Just because someone says, I'm Muslim, and they behave badly, doesn't mean that they are the religion. The religion is written out, and it's very clear. Just because you see somebody from so-and-so country that did X, Y, Z to his wife does not mean that he's behaving properly.
As other practitioners, or I mean, in other religions, the same thing applies, yeah?
Yes. Oh, yeah. You wouldn't believe the way that, you know, in the States, you're more likely to be killed by your husband as a woman. There are so many statistics in the West where you know, there's bad things there, just like there is anywhere else.
As you mentioned, Sister Kim, we are talking about the teaching of Islam, not the action or the behavior of Muslims.
Exactly.
Barakallah feek. Thank you, Sister. And may Allah bless you. Barakallah. Jazakallah.
May Allah reward you, sister.
Jazakallah. So, Dr. Sultan, we start by talking about the right of women as a daughter, as Dr. Faisal talked, that if you have not a choice, essentially you have to take care of your kids, your daughters, to look after them, to keep them safe, to pay all the expenses they need. If you do that and raising them in a good way, they will be like a shield for you from the hellfire. So let's go to another step, which is the right of the sisters in Islam. Even as a sister, still Islam is taking care of her, and there is an obligation upon you towards her.
Before we talk about this, let's maybe talk about the wife, the mother of the you know, kids. because, you know, if you think about the status of woman, she either, you know, must be either, you know, a mother or a wife or a daughter. She must be one of these, and sometimes she might be, you know, an all, you know, all. She might be a mother and a daughter and a wife. So, so as a wife, since Dr. Faisal talked about, you know, woman as a mother and a daughter, so what about as a wife? So first of all, a man, you know, every man in Islam has to pay his fiancée a dowry. And there is a misconception, by the way, about this, which is that, and this have been raised to me a number of times, that they thought that we have like blind marriage, and which means that you get married from someone that you haven't seen before, and she hasn't seen you before, and you have no, so your mother just, you know, look for you, and you get married, and maybe the first, you know, your night or night of wedding, you will see your wife for the first time, which is not true at all. When I told them that, even myself, in my situation, I have chosen my wife myself. Even my mother, she doesn't know. I have chosen the family, and I have, you know, and it's highly recommended by Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, as Muslims know, that a man came to Prophet ﷺ, he told him that, I would like to get married from so-and-so, and he told him to go and look and to that woman that he would like to get married from. So, and as the man has the right to see the woman also has the right to see the man. So sometimes, you know, she might reject, and she has the right. One of my friends, you know, he's mashallah, you know, a good man, but, you know, and the family gave him, you know, as, you know, he, you know, proposed to get married. The father, he said, okay, you are welcome. We have, you know, asked about you. You are good man, from good family, and you are a good man. Your morals, your manners, your religion, you are good. But, you know, as you know, he wanted to see the, you know, his future wife, and she wanted to see him. So after they saw each other, the father later on called him, said to him, we are sorry, we would like to, you know, but our daughter, she refused because he was fat. And this is a real story. It might be a joke, but it's a real story, and he's a friend of mine. He was like, you know, about, you know, 140 kilograms. He said that she refused, and we cannot force her to get married from you. And because some people, they think that father can force his own daughter, and this is not right. Any man cannot force his own daughter to get married from the man she doesn't like. And they have both have rights to talk with each other, to discuss, to see how they think with each other. So they can call to each other, but it's not allowed that they go out to hang out without a mahram, without anyone. And also, when they agree, the man, the husband, has to pay dowry. You know, for example, in Saudi Arabia, the average is about 50, you know, thousand Saudi, maybe Riyal, might be, you know. So maybe about 15,000 US dollars or something, might be more, might be less. So this is much money, and, you know, he has to furnish a house, or, you know, also rent or buy a house or apartment or flat, and to furnish that, and to pay all the life expenses for the household. So, and he has to work, and also she, as a wife, she has, you know, she can go and work, and she can go to pray to the masjid if she wants to. But if she decides not to work, to stay home, this is her own choice. So, but if she earns money, let's say that maybe her job, let's say, gets 10,000 US dollars a month, she, this money, this allowance, this salary is only for her. A husband cannot share any single, you know, Riyal or any single dollar from this money. If she is a millionaire, also the man, he cannot take any, you know, dollar or any Riyal from it, unless she wants to give him or share with him some of the life expenses. Yeah.
Barakallah fiik. Dr. Sultan, we will go for a break, then we will come back again.
Thank you so much.
So فاصل قصير. We have a short break, then we will come back. فاصل قصير ونعود إليكم، فكونوا معنا.
بها نلقى سعادتنا ونلقى الروح والريحان. بها نلقى سعادتنا ونلقى الروح والريحان.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. حياكم الله أخواني وأخواتي الأفاضل الأكارم. يعني أعيد التذكير الحلقة اليوم باللغة الإنجليزية، فذكروا من تعرفون. إذا كان عندكم أحد يتحدث باللغة الإنجليزية فاسمحوا له أو لها في الدقائق المتبقية من برنامجنا يتابعون، لعل الله سبحانه وتعالى أن يمن عليهم بالهداية ويستفيدون. أيضا لمن أراد أن ينطق الشهادة على الهواء، أيضا أرقام الدعاة تأتي أمامكم تباعا على الشاشة لمن أراد الاحتفاظ بها، ويا حبذا لو تأخذون وتحتفظون بها مستقبلا، يعني تمرونها لمن يحتاجها، وأنتم إذا احتجتموها في أي وقت. وهي نعمة من الله سبحانه وتعالى، لغات متعددة. وحديثنا الليلة بعنوان كوني ملكة. دكتور فيصل and دكتور Sultan, we're talking about a woman. So now we will talk about the situation or the rights of the status of the woman in Islam and in other culture.
Islam raised the status of women. As my colleague Dr. Faisal mentioned at the beginning, the situation before the Islam era and after the Islam era, there is a huge difference. And also if you compare between the status of women or the rights of women between Islam and other religions or other cultures, Islam gave the women rights for an heritage, gave Islam rights to do and make business. And as you know, there are many business women in our even community. If you go, for example, let's say the stock market in Saudi Arabia, you'll find some, well-known women by names. If you go to the, let's say restaurant, business, you will find some women well-known by names. They are well-known. So there are many wealthy women, and this is because also their money is only for them themselves. No one can share, and they have no responsibility towards the family to spend. So, and by the way, that also even the salary of the woman, for example, in our community, is the same as the man. For example, a man professor at the university and the woman professor at the university, or a teacher in a school, they are the same. They get the same salary, the same bonus. There are no differences. If they work in also business or companies, so private and also governmental sectors, there is no, I would say, discrimination based on the gender, which might be the case in some of the communities. So there are differences. If you go to some statistics and some studies, for example, some of the Western countries, for example, you might find, about, as stated in some studies, 70, the women get an average of 78%, about 78% of the average of the men that they get in the job, for example, paid in the USA. Even in jobs that is dominated by women, like the education workforce, usually in, for example, in USA, most of the teachers, the majority of the teachers, more than men, are women. Despite this fact, men gets an average paid more than women. Even when they start their career, they get paid more than the women who starts their career. So, and this is something that anyone can search, anyone can find out. It's open source, it's online, and based on scientific research. So, and based on real data from the community themselves. Just when we were coming in our way with Dr. Faisal, also he was telling me about something. This is something he just told me, but I would like to share it. He said that, based on some statistics, in some of the communities, every single second, there is a woman being raped.
Wow.
Every single second. So not a minute, even number, some I think, is Dr. Faisal, is it one woman or number of women every single second?
We're talking about different states, and the issue of rape is very kind of warning bells. Is very dangerous for the community. But before I touch on this issue, we need to understand the Islamic perspective regarding the society. Islam takes care, or deals carefully with the family. The family is the core, let's say, brick of the society. Therefore, Islam teaches us to deal in a complementary way when we deal with the other gender. Because in the end product of this family are children. And the children will be they will build the society. Therefore, we need to look at the wider context of the community itself, not just focusing on men or women. That's it. No, we are talking about the wider context of man, woman, and a child. Therefore, when we say that a woman in Islam is respected and is being taken care of and being responsible for, to take the responsibilities of the household, to be a housewife, it doesn't mean that she is downgraded. Actually, the tasks and the responsibilities of the household are many and manifold, and also are great in the sight of Islam. Therefore, if we talk about freedom, I know it's a very wide topic, but freedom needs to be kind of aligned with certain norms or criteria that or to be set in the society. For us Muslims, these criteria or norms are set by Islamic teachings, not by us. Therefore, we adhere to these teachings. When women have more freedom than is supposed for them, the same thing for men. If they have freedom more than they are supposed to, we'll end up with the problems. And also we come to the rape issue. You're talking about, I read a report by the US government. They said that about 1 in every 5 women gets raped in the States. And this is a very dangerous ratio or percentage. And the same report said that rape is the most underreported crimes. And however, we're talking about 1 in every 5 women, and it's the most underreported crime. I know the issue of rape cannot be thrown at women or only.
What about abortion, Doctor?
Abortion for example, in the UK, I think abortion was made legal, if I'm not mistaken, in 1972 or 76, sorry. And for 20 or 21 years, a report said that around or more than 5 million cases of abortion were made. So you're talking about 5 million lives were killed. You mean the baby or the fetus is still alive, that deserves it has a soul and deserves to live. To live its own way, and but 5 million. You're talking about 5 million cases of abortion. In brackets, in 20 years, yeah. And you're talking about killing 5 million fetus. And this is not acceptable in Islam at all. Since the fetus has a soul, it is a human being.
So it was actually because of a legal relationship.
Definitely. As I said, if women and men are given a kind of freedom that is not well organized, will get into problems and troubles. Therefore, we know, in the Islamic teachings, any relationship between men and women out of wedlock is not acceptable at all. This is why we, alhamdulillah, in Islam, we have stable families, extended families. Definitely there are some exceptions. We are not talking about the exceptions. We are talking about the
The rule.
mainstream, the rule, okay, the rule of thumb here is that a man gets married to a woman. As I said, Dr. Sultan, about the marriage, it's not blind marriage. It's not forced marriage.
It's a planned marriage,
it's an arranged marriage.
Arranged marriage.
Okay, and as I said, men and women are encouraged to see each other before marriage, because after marriage you are stuck with that contract. Men and women are alike. And I think this will lead us to maybe the issue of divorce. But I mean,
we'll go to that later.
Sure.
But because we have a break now, we'll go for a break. Then we'll come back again. فاصل قصير اخواني واخواتي، نعود بعد لاستكمال حلقتنا، فكونوا معنا.
دعوتنا إلى الرحمن
برب واحد ديان
بموعظة وإحسان
وجنب لين وحنان
بها نلقى سعادة
أشهد
أشهد
أن لا
أن لا
إله
إله
إلا الله
إلا الله
وأشهد
وأشهد
أن
أن
محمدا
محمدا
رسول الله.
رسول الله.
سأشهد
أشهد
أن لا
أن لا
إله
إله
إلا الله
إلا الله
وأشهد
وأشهد
أن
أن
محمدا
محمدا
رسول الله.
رسول الله.
ما شاء الله. Congratulations.
ما شاء الله ما شاء الله.
إلى الرحمن
برب واحد ديان
بموعظة وإحسان
وجنب لين وحنان
بها نلقى سعادتنا ونلقى.
السلام عليكم، حياكم الله اخوان اخواتي. لأن يهدي الله بك رجلا واحدا خير لك من حمر النعم. التقرير اللي يقدمونه لكم الاخوان هذا والفاصل القصير هي حقيقه مثل الهديه من الاخوان في القناه، جزاهم الله خير. تعبير عن تقدير جهودكم ودعواتكم وتفاعلكم مع الدعاة واتصالكم عليهم في سائر يعني في كافه الاوقات، مختلف اللغات، ويوميا حقيقه يتم اخذ الاحصائيه من الدعاة. الاخوه حقيقه اللي يشرفون على البرنامج جزاهم الله خير يتواصلون مع الدعاة يوميا حتى ياخذوا اعداد من يسلم، ونحمد الله سبحانه وتعالى. يعني لاحظ الاخوان هنالك يعني ارتفاع في نسبه بعض الجنسيات، مثلا اللغه الاوغنديه وغيرها من كينيا ومن غانا وغيرها، كانت في السابق الاعداد قليله، بدات سبحان الله الدعاة يعني يستبشرون باعداد من يتصل واعداد من يسلم. دكتور سلطان، سبحان الله there is another kind of misconception about inheritance in Islam. So they think that it's not allowed for the women that to inherit in Islam.
Yes, actually, this is a common misconception, unfortunately, and this misconception because some people they know just one thing, that a woman inherits half of the man. So this is what they know.
بالذكر مثل حظ الأنثيين.
Yeah. So للذكر مثل حظ الأنثيين. And they don't know that there are only 4 situations in which the woman gets half of the man. But there are 11 situations when woman gets more than the man. And there are about 10 situations when the woman gets the same amount of the man. So some scholars collected about 30 situations in which either the woman gets the same amount as the man gets from the inheritance, or gets more than the man, or in some situations the woman inherits while the man doesn't inherit. And there are bases for this. There are fundamentals. It's not just a choice, because this is not from us. This is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He's the wise. If He left this for us, we might not be fair. And this is why in some communities they give the inheritance, for example, for someone, and they don't do it for someone else. And even in some cultures, the woman itself or herself is part of the heritage. So the brother of this dead person, or sometimes his son from another wife, they get, which is not, they inherit even his widow
as a property.
As a property, which is not in Islam. So Islam also, these are the fundamentals of the basis. Islam looks at the relationship between the dead person and those live persons. So the closest you are to the dead persons, the much you get from the inheritance. The second thing, your, I would say, current situation, your age now, and your future. For example, the son gets more than the father and the mother, because he is still, young, and he has a future to do life expenses and to get married, but the father, will not have the same, future or more years to live for the same as the son. The third thing about also the responsibility. As you know, the man has more responsibility than the woman. So the man is responsible to pay for the whole household, for his wife, for the family, also to look after, as you just mentioned, Sheikh Nasser, for his own sister or for his family, he's responsible for all these things. Despite all these, there are, as I just said, 30 situations in which the woman either gets the same amount of the men, or get more than men, or inherits, and while the men, they don't inherit.
Allah Akbar. Subhanallah. That will also, I'll go back, sorry for that, Dr. Sultan, Dr. Faisal, to remind me to talk about the mother in Islam, subhanallah, and the woman in general in Islam. Subhanallah, if the right of the woman, as Rasulullah said in Islam, subhanallah, the Quran has told us not to say to the father or the mother, even the word of. And the mother, she has 3 rights, and as she was pregnant with the child during while she was delivering the baby, or after feeding him, taking care of him, and subhanallah, even after death, after she dies, Islam is keeping her rights to pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make a dua, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to put mercy when you pay charity behalf of her also. Even if you go to her sisters or mother or relatives, that's a kind of rights you have to keep for your mother. In a brief, Dr. Faisal, could you talk about this point for a minute,
mother?
Please?
Okay, as I said, there is an important point here. When we look at women's rights in Islam, we have to look at also men's rights in Islam and children's rights in Islam. It's not only women or only men. That's the first point. The second point, yes, women have their own rights. Also, they have their own responsibilities. The same thing applies to men and children. Everybody in this society, in the Islamic society, has his own rights and his own or her responsibilities. For the mother status in Islam is very high, and many texts, be it Quranic texts or prophetic texts, emphasize the respect of a mother and taking care of her, whether her husband is alive or not. Also, as I said before, where one of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ came to him and asked him for permission to go for jihad, Rasul ﷺ asked him, is your mother alive? He said, yes, she is still alive. And said, go back to her and serve her, because the paradise is there. Which means that even although jihad is the top action of worship in Islam, it is still, serving your mother is far better than jihad for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Regarding, again, the parents, when we talk about mother, we're including the father also. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, وَقَضَى رَبُّكَ أَلَّا تَعْبُدُوا إِلَّا إِيَّاهُ وَبِالْوَالِدَيْنِ إِحْسَانًا. Okay, to treat them well and to take them under your wings of mercy. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prohibits us from being very mean to them or even to show any kind of disrespect to them. This is why we care. I mean, Islam, not us. Again, as I said, Islam teachings are totally different from our practices. I might be right or wrong in certain circumstances, but doesn't mean this doesn't mean that this is
some people practice. It's not everyone. There are some good people, and your fingers are not the same.
And at the end of the day, we were talking about the collective practice of a community. Whether we, as I said before, we judge people through Islam. We don't judge Islam through people. And I think this applies to every religion. That's, I think, an important point to be raised here.
I would like Dr. Sheikh Nasser to add something to this. My colleague Dr. Faisal said something great, things to add actually. So I was interested in what he was saying. So he motivated me to add to this. So this is a real story from our community that maybe many people have heard about this story, but in other communities maybe they haven't heard about this. One day, in the court, judge, he said that it was one of the, cases that I have, strange cases that I have received. Two brothers, one of them claiming that I would like to have my mother to live with me, because my brother, my older brother, has my mother with him in his house, and I would like to ask for my rights to have my family, my mother, to live with me, to stay with me at my home. I would like to serve her, to serve her, to look after her, because they know that she's the gate for paradise. She's the gate for the Jannah, as narrated in the hadith. And as in the other hadith by Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, when a man came to him, who's the person who has, who requires, or who's the person who has who deserves the most rights of my companionship? Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he said to him, the person who deserved the best companionship by you is your mother. Then Muhammad ﷺ said, who's next? Then he said, your mother. Then he said, who's next? 3 times he said, your mother. Then the 4th time he said, who's next? Then he said, your father. So even the mother has more rights than the father, even they are your own parents. So this, those 2 brothers, they would like to get this great reward. So this, then the judge asked these 2 brothers, he said to him, he said, all the time after my dad passed away, she's all the time with my older brother. I would like also to get my rights. I would like to get rewards. I would like to serve my mother, to look after her. She said, she never came to my house because my brother refused. Then the judge, he said, okay, so she should go to the younger brother because also he has the right to look after his mother and to get rewards from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by looking after his mother. Then the older brother started to cry in front of the judge. He said, I will be like, your enemy in the day of judgment because you took my mother from me. So see, there is a great competition between men to look after women.
To satisfy the women.
To satisfy the women. Because they know they are, valuable things for us. They are gates for us, for the Jannah. Way back, it's a path for us to get to the Jannah, the heaven, which every Muslim seeks in this life.
Subhanallah. If you look, Dr. Faisal, because only have half a minute, when she was a daughter, she was as a shield from the hellfire. When she became a mother, she will be a gate to the heaven. And that's the right of the woman in Islam. And I think that everyone is listening or watching us today, I think they're not gonna, they should clear and correct their misconception. Dr. Sultan, I would like to say Jazakallah khair. Thank you for participating with us today. Thank you very much. And Allah reward you the best.
Thank you so much. And it's my pleasure to be with you on this great show and with my brother, Dr. Faisal.
Dr. Faisal,
can I say a word or
yeah,
not?
just
an important point to raise here, especially for non-Muslims. Read and watch authentic resources that talk about Islamic dealings or how Islam elevated the status of women. Don't look at us Muslims, our practices, because there might be some ill practices from us. It doesn't belong, or they don't belong to Islam.
جزاك بارك الله
وإياك.
فيك.
بارك الله فيك. جزاك الله خير.
لكم أنتم إخواني وأخواتي الأفاضل الأكارم، شكرا بعد شكر الله سبحانه وتعالى دعمكم ودعواتكم لإخواني في قناة المجد الفضائية. شكرا بعد شكر الله سبحانه وتعالى على جهودهم، أسأل الله سبحانه وتعالى ألا يحرمهم من الأجر. حتى ألقاكم في الأسبوع القادم، أترك في رعاية الله. كونوا دعاة إلى الله تعالى. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك، أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت، أستغفرك ربي وأتوب إليك. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
بها نلقى سعادتنا ونلقى الروح والريحان.